Launched a series here on News Nation focusing on missing person cases that were not getting national attention. We are continuing that series every Thursday here on News Nation Live. And this morning, we are revisiting a case that still remains a mystery nearly 16 months later. It is the story of a young geologist named Daniel Robinson, who vanished in the Arizona desert. And in a moment, Daniel's dad, David, will be joining me live. But first, a look at Daniel's disappearance. Tonight, we start our series, Missing in America, taking you to where the people were last seen, meeting these families and bringing you their stories. And we begin tonight with Daniel Robinson.
This is the area in Buckeye where his vehicle was found. This is remote. The terrain is extremely treacherous.
Daniel Robinson was 24 when he disappeared, a geologist working his dream job in the Arizona desert. A co-worker says Robinson left his job site on the morning of June 23, 2021. His Jeep, found a month later, crashed in a desert ravine. Robinson's keys, cell phone, and wallet were still inside, his clothing in a pile just outside the vehicle. But no sign of Daniel.
I do my job and find my son. He's my son, I'm his father, and it's my job.
For nearly 16 months, David Robinson hasn't given up on that job, searching the desert and bringing in his own private investigator. They took News Nation's Nancy Liu to the crash site. The investigator says too much doesn't add up, including red paint transfer on the side of the Jeep.
The vehicle was tipped over on the passenger side, so there's no red paint in this area. So how that got there, that's why I'm saying that vehicle did not crash here. That vehicle was, its last place of rest was here, but something was going on with that vehicle.
He notes other inconsistencies in the crash report.
The vehicle had 11 additional miles on it from the time the airbags deployed. It had 46 additional ignition cycles on it after the airbags deployed.
But Buckeye police say there's no evidence of foul play and have resisted a deeper investigation. The private investigator is also no longer on the case, but Robinson has finally convinced an outside law enforcement agency to go through Daniel's computer and cell phones for any clues.
They saw some of the things that I was seeing, and they wanted to look into it themselves.
While he waits for any information, he holds vigils.
As you guys know, I've been here over a year searching for Daniel.
And has organized dozens of searches.
Still don't have the answer that we're looking for. But we thank you for coming out here. It really means a lot to us.
Covering more than 23,000 acres, using four-wheelers and on foot. On at least two separate occasions, volunteers found human remains, which turned out not to be Daniel's.
Even though we didn't find Daniel, but it gave you some relief a little. That, we was able to bring some other families some type of closure.
He raises money on GoFundMe and takes every opportunity to speak about his son's disappearance.
I'm just here to bring awareness to my son's case.
Even appearing at CrimeCon in Las Vegas. Robinson has created a robust social media presence, a sophisticated website documenting coverage of the case, and weekly live online updates. All to keep his and other cases in the spotlight.
God bless that I have a small platform, especially on YouTube presence, as well as TikTok and Twitter. In that doing so, I'm able to also help other families. I had other families on my Q&A to be able to tell their stories as well.
This Army veteran with a new mission in life, one he says he'll never give up.
And no matter what, we will not leave a soldier behind. My son, he's my son, and I'm definitely not leaving him behind. That's thank you.
Local police investigating continue to say they have no evidence of foul play in Daniel's disappearance. Joining me now is Daniel's dad, David Robinson. David, you and I have spoken a number of times over the last year since Daniel's disappearance. By watching this story again, finding him must be all-consuming. You changed your life, moved across the country to search.
Yes, thank you for having me on. Yes, it's been very trying for me and my family, Daniel's siblings, his mother. It's been very trying being out here trying to get the answers that we're looking for. You can imagine after a year now still searching for Daniel and not having all the answers that we're looking for is very troubling in our mental state. It's really, really hard. struggling and working with the law enforcement on the outside of Buckeye, trying to get more law enforcement more involved to a point where there's an urgency there. I'm still looking for that urgency after a year. A lot of urgency that will definitely give me more answers, but I'm still on the job. I'm still on the job, putting on my investigative hat, as well as being a father, but also being able to help others as I'm taking this journey.
David, I said a moment ago, Buckeye Police, they have a timeline on their website. They say they're still actively investigating, but there's no evidence of foul play. After all of your investigative work and being so close to this case, do you believe that?
Well, according to my investigator, I did hire a private investigator, and all the information that we gave them from tangible evidence of the red transfer paint, for instance, 11 additional miles, pressure on the windshield, the fact that we don't even know it's Daniel's clothing that's on the ground, haven't been forensically tested. Those type things will, in my opinion, based on my family knowledge of my son. I've been there from the time he was born. We have a great indication about the way Daniel thinks. So you put all that things in combination that will suggest foul play. Against what the Buckeye Police Department feel, I feel there's more to the story.
And you questioned, David, the timeline as well. What stands out to you that may be inaccurate about the timeline?
Well, one of the biggest things is the person that's last seen as person should be, that story should be vetted very well. And we later found out in my investigation, his story just didn't match the timeline. He said my son left, for instance, the well site at 9:15, but yet my son made a phone call, his final phone call to him at 9:28. Those calls and the desire my son sent a text message to ask for the location came unanswered. So again, like I said, my son called at 9:28. I'm assuming to ask for direction. So the timeline is not right. When the timeline is not right, you really have to scrutinize that story a little more.
David, this is a tough question to ask, and I'm sorry for asking it, but do you feel as though Daniel is still alive?
I have to. That's the only one that's one of the things that keep me going. It's also crucial for my family, his mother. We're people of faith. We believe in God. We believe in miracles. Though sometimes I look at everything that I have evidence-wise that would suggest other things, I still keep that hope and that faith because we don't have those answers of where Daniel's located. So I always have to keep that faith that somehow I'm going to bring my son home alive. And I really want to believe that. And I'm going to continue to believe that.
I appreciate that. And David, as we look at pictures of Daniel on the screen, there's one video that I just love where he's standing outside and snow is falling on his face. He's got this great big smile. I want you to share with people at home your son, his personality, who he is, and what you miss most about him.
Yeah, Daniel's very free-spirited. You probably can tell by the pictures. He's loved by a lot of his friends. He's a very friendly person. He loves nature. That's the reason why he's a geologist. That's why he came out to Arizona. He wants to be able to be in tune with nature. Also, he's a very family-oriented person. He definitely keeps the family together. Like I said, he shows a lot of love to his family. We love him back. One thing I miss the most for me, on my perspective, is having a conversation with my son. My son always come to me. He come to his mother. He calls all the time. We keep in contact with each other. But for me, just having that 2-hour conversation that we normally have, where he's asking questions, he's wanting to know things, he get advice, his entrepreneur spirit, what he want to do in life. He always plan things and always look on the positive light. I miss those things about my son.
And do you think about what you would say to him now if he could hear you?
Yes, of course. I've been here over a year searching for you. I'm not giving up. He's my son. I love him dearly. I'm here to fight. That's what fathers do. He know I have his back, and I'm here for him. No matter what, I'm definitely here and want to make sure I bring him back. And I'm not going to let anyone stop me. I want him to know that.
Amen. David, you have become such a powerful voice for so many other families that you have come in contact with who are also trying to find their loved ones. What has that support and getting to know these families meant for you and giving you hope in your case as well?
Yes. One thing, it's always something light at the end of the tunnel. It's definitely been a long experience. But in that experience, when you're a person that just have a missing loved one in your family, you're unaware of what other people are going through as well. I found out this is not unique to my family. There's other struggling families that don't even have a voice, so be able to talk to people all the time and hear their stories, it caused me to be passionate. I couldn't be human without answering those calls. I just want to make sure that I'm helping the other families as much as I can through my journey. doing everything I can. That's the reason why I have the Daniel Robinson Foundation, as well as other events and things that I do to try to make sure I can get other people's story out there. Very passionate about that. Want to help everybody I can. It's my duty and my journey as well to be able to do that.
Well, you're a great dad and you've got a big heart, and I know you've got a big support system behind you as well. And the most important thing is keeping Daniel's story in the headlines. We're glad to partner with you as you do that, David Robinson. Thank you for giving us some time.
I appreciate you. Thanks so much.
My best to you. And if you have any information on the location of Daniel, if you have any information in this case, the Buckeye Police Department are still actively investigating. You can also go online to pleasehelpfinddaniel.com.
Hey, good morning, everybody. This is David Robinson, the father of geologist Daniel Cornelius Robinson. Thank you so much for coming in this morning's Q&A. I will be talking about the event that I have currently, the mail-in protest, as well as some things all Daniel. To this morning, I just want to get most of your questions. For those who don't know Daniel's case, or those who do and have more questions about his case, I would like to go down the comment section to get to all of your questions. So that'll be my main focal point on this morning. This evening Q&A, we'll be going deep diving again into the timeline, as well as the efforts going forward. So I will be mentioning some of those efforts going forward this morning as well. Before this morning, it'd be more focused towards the Q&A side of things. I want to hear your questions. I want to hear your thoughts and things like that. And we'll be going in the comment sections to talk to everybody. And so you guys can just ask your questions. So thanks so much for coming in this morning's Q&A. I'm Dave Robson, the father of geologist Daniel Cornelius Robson. Thank you again, and I'll see you on the other side.
When the lights and camera turn off, I will be here. When the interest and conversation fade, I will be here. When there's no one around, a father will do anything it takes to be there for his son, to protect his family.
Daniel Robinson went missing 4 months ago. This is the last photo his family has of him. He's a 24-year-old geologist, last seen leaving his job site in Buckeye, Arizona.
As the Gabby Petito homicide case garners national attention, another young person has been missing for nearly 3 months, and his family is desperate to find him. 24-year-old Daniel Robinson, a geologist, was last seen on the morning of June 23rd, leaving his work site in the desert of Buckeye, Arizona.
David Robinson had only one thought on his mind as he drove the nearly 1,800 miles from his South Carolina home to Phoenix.
I had to find my son. And you guys know I'm still searching for him. Thank you guys for coming in this morning's Q&A. Again, I am David Robinson. I'm the father of geologist Daniel Cornelius Robinson. My son Daniel, graduated from the College of Charleston in Charleston, South Carolina. He graduated with honors, decided to take his career, his life, everything he loved into Arizona. He went to Phoenix, Arizona to start his life and career, landed his first job with an engineering company there in Phoenix. Called Matrix New World. It's also called Matrix Southwest Groundwater. They hired him on as a field geologist, also called a hydrogeologist. One of the things that he does, and most of what he does, is go out to various well sites all across Arizona, no matter where it's at. It could be a day or night. But what he does is go out to those well sites to check the viability of those wells. Those wells have to produce at least 100 years of water. Those wells are tapped into the groundwater. So he being a scientist, he had to assure that those groundwaters are producing at least 100 years of water to support a community. Most of the time where he's going out to these well sites is where there's development of a community, some form of community. And by law in Arizona, these communities have to have those groundwaters. Arizona is a desert state. So his job is very important. They check the viability of those wells, also to see if those waters are drinkable. So crucial. The Arizona have these hydrogeologists. He also called a field geologist. And like I said, on June 23rd of 2021, he was doing just that, doing his job, going out to, like he always does, get assignment to go out to a well site. He got assigned to 2 well sites that morning. He completed one. When I say completed one, from what I understand, Daniel took some pictures of the logs, got some information from logs from the first, and supposedly being headed to the second well site, where you guys know that the story, for those who know the story, know what happened from that point. A guy from a company called Weber was waiting on my son at this well site. My son tried to get in contact with him, was failing to get in contact with him. It's not clear if Daniel even ever talked to this worker that morning. We do know that Daniel did reach out before the time that he's supposed to be there, to reach out to the time they said he was there. He reached out to see how to get directions to this location. That request went unanswered. That's why I say, you guys, it's hard to even determine if Daniel even talked to anybody, which is the person at the well site named Ken. According to this Ken at the well site, I was supposed to be waiting on my son. He said he did meet Daniel out on Sun Valley Parkway, which is north of I-10. If you guys was in Arizona going towards Buckeye, going out west out of Phoenix, you go to I-10 west, and you'll see Buckeye, Arizona, and it's north of the I-10. He said my son met him out there on Sun Valley Parkway on the side of the road. They had a quick conversation. My son followed him into that desert, the Sonoran Desert. They went 1 mile west, 2 miles north to get to this well site. That was at 9 o'clock that morning. At 9 o'clock that morning, he said that he and my son had a conversation about the weather, which lasted for almost 10 minutes. And my son waved off to him to disappear, to never be seen again. Waved off to him, got his vehicle, drove off to never be seen again. You guys know that almost 30 days after that point, my son's vehicle showed up in the ravine right here, right behind me on this green screen. You guys see the vehicle sitting on the side. Is a little over 3 miles away from this well site that my son met Ken, and it's turned on the side. Allegedly, the clothing is 3 feet away from the vehicle. I mean, everything from his underwear down to his sock was in a pile. You can see an orange safety vest here behind me. That is supposed to be Daniel's as well. From that's about another foot away from the pile of clothing. Also, the boots was on the ground, and also like I said, the vehicle turned on its side. One of the windows been smashed out on the driver's door, and also the sunroof has been the panel was taken out. So you guys, the story behind this, if you guys look at this crash scene behind me, to see the scene behind me, the first person with the any kind of Karen would automatically think something is odd and strange about or problematic with the scene behind me. You know, any family member would think so. If it's a law enforcement vehicle, cruiser, we would think so as well. That's that thought, that first thought, looking at the scene, would suggest that we need to find out what happened at the scene, because you see pile of clothing on the ground. You see that supposedly belonged to someone. Even if you know who it was, you know, if it's you know, to look at the scene and say, hey, something is not right at this crash scene here. So just automatically looking at that would raise suspicions about this crash scene, and we would like to see if law enforcement would feel the same way. As to date, law enforcement don't think so. They'll look at this crash site, you guys, and it's also this a missing person case. Despite this vehicle showed up in this location after almost 30 days after Daniel went missing. So, you guys, for law enforcement, that's not a suspicious act. The way I took it at the beginning is law enforcement felt that Daniel was riding around the desert for almost 30 days before he crashed into this ravine and took his clothes off and disappeared to never be seen again. Any angle you look at this story based on this crash scene, it would not make sense outside of foul play. When we did a deep dive into this crash scene, you guys know that my investigator and I, he did a deep dive into this scene. He's an accident reconstructionist, as well as have an investigative team to look at everything at the scene. You guys, something that law enforcement didn't do. Law enforcement didn't look at the scene, like I was saying at the beginning, as any type of crime scene or possible foul play. Didn't say he's a missing person. They grabbed everything off the ground and gave it over to me. So those things, deep dive into it. We found red transfer paint on the vehicle. 2 impressions on the windshield where someone beat it in. The damage on the vehicle didn't match the terrain. There's red transfer paint. There's nothing red in the desert that a vehicle came in contact with. Also, the airbags deployed. Every airbag in the vehicle was deployed, and as well as the passenger side, as I said, was deployed as well. You guys, and also the sunroof was taken out the vehicle, and we know that the sunroof is not just come out. You have to use a key to take that out as well. There was 46 initial cycles on the vehicle after the airbag was deployed, and nobody could sit in this vehicle and crank that vehicle up 46 times after this crash, right? Because the investigator found that there was multiple crashes. Also, there was 11 additional miles after the airbags deployed, which suggests someone moved the vehicle after the airbags deployed. So you guys, and then the time of the day was 4 hours after he allegedly was at the well site. So you guys, there's a lot of things in the story you can look at and just infer and see foul play. But to this date, law enforcement has been very resistant to those hard physical evidence of foul play. We turned those evidence that we found, physical, tangible evidence that we found on the scene. Everything you guys know about this crash site came from myself and my investigator, who I paid for. And but law enforcement didn't come up with anything to this date. Nothing, not zero. Any explanation of this crime scene outside they saying that he just a missing person. He took his clothes off with a brain injury. Here's his things to the family. Gave me everything for safekeeping, and they was done. They was done with the story. You guys, so we turned those items over to law enforcement. Law enforcement, like I say, was very resistant. They were so resistant to a point they hired their own investigator because they didn't want to accept the hard physical evidence. They hired their own private investigator, who is also an accident reconstructionist. The only problem with the law enforcement investigator is that he have never seen Dane's vehicle, never physically examined it, never seen it in person, never examined the clothing items, didn't even ask for these items from me. You know, so I have possession of all of these things. Never seen everything, anything of the vehicle, never seen the dashboard, never could compare it to nothing, but made a full report based on pictures, I guess, third-party pictures that who knows where they came from, and also based on not the manufacturers of the Jeep, but a dealership. He talked to a worker at a dealership to get the answers that the law enforcement already been putting out. They just wanted to be a crash scene. They want Daniel just have been just a missing person, and that was some things they were saying before they hired this investigator, and before we turned in those information of foul play to law enforcement. So they stick with their story, and they want to keep it that way. And then the way I take it, they hired a private investigator to resist it and to bolster their own theories about things. So again, you guys, I've been fighting since June 26th, searching for my son. You guys know the story behind that. Something I would never stop doing. I'm really trying my best. No parent, no family should be doing all of this. Sometimes you have to. I tell families all the time, you have to be very weary about just sitting back at home. I know we have a lot of faith. I'm a person of faith. I believe in God. And but you know what? One thing I learned, and I'm not doing a religious thing right now today, but I do know, like I tell you guys all the time, you cannot have faith without some type of action behind it. You can't say, "Hey, I believe God's going to get me a job today," but you're sitting on your couch watching television. It just don't go together. Those things don't go together. So I have faith that I'm going to find my son. So I had to go actively look for him. I had to actively go do everything I can to find my son. That's with law enforcement. It's not, my faith cannot be into law enforcement. You guys see how law enforcement act in Daniel's case. It's a hit and miss. You may find some good officer that may actually do the job, and then you'll find something like the Buckeye Police Department who resist things like this. So you have to make sure that you stay into that frame where you say, "Hey, look, I'm going to be actively helping." Guess believe when I first came to Arizona, the first thing I was doing was helping law enforcement to the date. They hired their own investigator. That's the reason why we turned over those evidence to them, because I've been from day one trying to work with law enforcement by providing information. We found human remains out in the desert. How we know those human remains? Because my website was set up for volunteers to take pictures at the scene. And that's why we got the count, you guys. To go back to the count I told you guys before. At the scene, we take pictures. They upload it in my website, pleasehelpfinddaniel.com. A copy goes straight to Buckeye Police Department, as well as my investigator at the time, and also a copy comes to myself. And we don't determine if those human remains. Buckeye call us back and say, confirm if those human remains. We got up to almost 7 human remains, but you guys know that they start backtracking their story. They put that into the report. Now, you guys out there in the public, there was only 2 remains. So the whole point I'm making is, you guys, is that I've been working with law enforcement from day one to try to get things done. It may sound like I'd be very critical. I am very critical because you know what? Again, we gave them hard physical evidence of foul play. If this was a police cruiser sitting out here behind me, officer was missing almost 30 days. His vehicle showed up in this ravine, the same ravine. His uniform is sitting 3 feet away from that vehicle and that cruiser. And I mean, everything on his body lying in the pile. And, it would have never flew the way they said. They won't look at this and say, well, yeah, he just a runaway cop. And, here's to the family, give some things. You guys know how that would have rolled. It would have been a full-fledged investigation. Find out whether it had been on CNN to you name it. It's been published on World News or something. Officer vehicle, he'd been missing for 30 days. Vehicle showed up farther in the ravine, turned on his side, and his uniform was on the ground. He's gone, missing, and they say, hey, we couldn't find nothing. We already know that, again, every law enforcement agency in this country would have rained down into Arizona, Buckeye, Arizona, to find this one officer. And that's the same energy, you guys, that every family should be fighting for. Should fight for that same energy from law enforcement. It's not about they blue. It's not about them, their own little private club. It's about them serving to protect the community. They should be approaching every case the same exact way they would. They should mentally say to themselves, if it was an officer, how would I approach this case? If it was one of my brothers in arms, how we like to say in the military, how would I approach this case? Every citizen should deserve the same thing. My son is no better than nobody. Nobody's better than him. But I'm, as a father, is going to assure that Daniel get that same energy out of the law enforcement agencies that is sworn to protect him. So you guys know that I have been fighting again for a change in jurisdiction, and that's the reason why I had the protest, the mail-in protest. That's only the first wave of things that I'm working on right now. I did send a letter to, you have to do things in paperwork, you guys. You got to put a process in, and one of the things were to document that I've been asking for certain things and certain date. That's what it's really all about. I did send Chief Hall a letter to. You guys seen the letter. I'm going to show you the letter again that I sent to him requesting that my son's case be moved over to the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office. And those reasons are, he knows I've been preaching about these things for over time. Even talked to Sheriff Zone of the Maricopa County, as well as Tempe Police Department and some the mayors and everything else, going through the process in the background. And those things is my son went missing in Maricopa County. As I said before in the past, you guys, if I'd known what I know now about Arizona, I'm from South Carolina. And if I'd known anything about Arizona at the time, I would have put in a missing report with Maricopa County instead of Buckeye. The Buckeye's in Maricopa County. Of course, I tried to put the report in with Tempe because my son was a resident of Tempe at the time, but they rejected that and sent me to Buckeye. So that's how I got directed to Buckeye, Arizona. And with the Buckeye, Arizona law enforcement, hindsight, and to this point, like I said, I would have went to Maricopa County, but going through the process, it was devastating. It was devastating from day one. It's put the Buckeye Police Department put me and my family through a lot of trauma. Those trauma was to make me wait an extra 3 hours because I had a 12-hour wait. They told me at the time, pacing the floor for 3 hours before I can just report a missing son that I knew was missing. I wanted something to look for foul play. In this apartment, I was rejected at the time with the welfare check. And so once I got the report in, getting more information about what happened to my son, I requested them to immediately go out to the desert with a helicopter and go search for my son. That was rejected. The next day they said it's going to do it. And then that was rejected. So there's a lot of trauma that went through at the beginning of dealing with the Buckeye Police Department, as well as coming into their station. I thought they would most likely house me and my daughter in a proper way. You guys know that they took us in the back of the police department, brought us through a back door, the same doors I'm sure they bring criminals into, and put us in an interrogation room just to get information. So hindsight, a person like myself, my daughter, we're not criminals. So we wouldn't know what an interrogation room it was at the time and the process that law enforcement does things. But that's the manner that we was entering into that police department. Not through the front door, but through the back door and into an interrogation room. So that's a lot of trauma, mental trauma, when you think about that in the past, as well as the fact that once we got information, like I said, I had to hire my own private investigator, listening to the explanation from the Buckeye Police Department when my son's vehicle showed up, to explanation of what they thought happened at the scene. Just hearing that thing, as well as their suggestion that my son wanted to join a monastery, become a monk, to that he somehow had a severe brain injury at the scene, but at the same time didn't want to put him as a dangerous person, and that some wild animal probably got him or something, that type thing. All those things put into your mind set, especially being a logical person like myself. My family were very smart people. That's traumatizing to hear that from law enforcement. So of course that forced me to get a PI. That PI did a damn good job when it came to getting information about this vehicle, to the point of getting really detailed information that we were able to, again, we were reluctant to, because at that point we realized who Buckeye Department was. It was a department that didn't seem like we could trust at the time, but hell, they are law enforcement. So we had to give them everything that we found, right? Give them everything we found, but then that turned to a tragedy. That's when I stopped having the communication. They would not answer my calls anymore. And also they doubled down on their own beliefs. Those things, you guys, he crashed his car. He's riding around the desert for 30 days, I guess, assuming the way I took it. He crashed his vehicle in this ravine. And I'm gonna back up a little bit because, as a person, like I said, a logical person, when Daniel vehicle showed up, and when it showed up in that desert, I know that the Buckeye Police Department claimed they did a search in the same as that area where the vehicle showed up. They did a search by air. They claimed with the Phoenix Firebird helicopter. 2 weeks after that, they did a search with on ground and air in the same location right here on with the Civil Air Patrol, and they came up with zero. And when I say zero thing, they came up with nothing. Like I like to say a couple times, you guys hear me say it over and over again. I say these things for a reason. They haven't found the construction cone. The reason why I like to use construction cone because construction cones are orange, just like the safety vest right here on the ground. From the air, you would not miss it. From the ground, you would not miss it. It's a color that you will see anywhere. You probably could see it at night. So, law enforcement to this date, in searches they claim they did, haven't found nothing, anything tangible that would bring me closer to answers for my son. Yet, during the time, my searches that I had for my own son, my personal searches with a grassroots search with volunteers like yourself, we produce things. You guys, you know, and when I say produce things, because we were actually looking for Daniel. We was actually looking for Daniel, and I really give credit to everybody who came out to the search because they actually showed their love. These are ordinary people coming from all over the place, spending their gas money, coming out to help me find my son out there in that desert, spend long hours in 118-degree weather. We didn't have the proper equipment that law enforcement had. We didn't have all the cadaver dogs, though I had to do things like charter my own helicopter to try to go search. I had to go get some other help with drones and things like that just to do searches and things like that. But we still didn't have all the equipment and the knowledge that law enforcement have. And then, like I said, they didn't even come up with a construction cone, but we was able to find human remains. We was able to find other clothing items in the same manner this vehicle. The clothing was found in this vehicle in a pile. Somebody else's clothes was found in a pile near the well site belonging to a male. Everything on his body lying in a pile. We also found burnt cars that we reported up to. Even with Maricopa County, we found a missing car that was missing for a while. Somebody ditched in the desert. We also found 2 cell phones near the crash site here, a human skull near the crash site here. You know, you guys name it. We were out there looking because we actually was looking for Daniel. To date, I have believed that law enforcement not really looking for Daniel. It's just it's a form of saying, hey, we out there in the desert for the public's sake. They have the resources, the money to burn like that, but they haven't found a construction cone, right? Bring us any closer. So you guys, that is my speech right now on that. Like I said, this morning's Q&A is a little different. I wanted to talk to you guys, just to you guys in the chats. You guys have questions and things like that. I want to answer some of those questions, some of your comments as well. So I will be focusing on that. But I do want to say this really quick, you guys. I have the mail-in protest still going. Tomorrow is the date for the week. You guys, I'll ask you guys that window if you guys can send these PDFs off, the letters. And that would be something that for Monday through Thursday. And what I was trying to do is make sure everybody mail them off around the same time, because I like for all these letters to come in at one time. And when it reaches to these departments, it comes into bulks, if you guys get what I'm saying. So that gives the attention that I really need right now to focus on some other things I'm doing in the background, you guys. I'm just not sitting here and you guys help me with the mail-in protest, but that's also some other things I'm getting set up for a physical protest as well, you guys. I've got something I'm calling a protest holiday in a sense. One of the reasons why is because the Buckeye Police Department, believe it or not, I told you guys this before, it's like Mayberry. They are closed on a weekend. I have never in my life seen a police department actually close on a weekend. I had a family press conference in the past, and I made sure that press conference had even news organizations to come out. And I thought the family press conference would be something to invoke Buckeye to do something better than what they're doing to help us find Daniel. I did it in front of their police department, their main police department. I just wanted to make sure we're at their front door when they come in and out their office. We're right there in their face, right? And I thought I was doing something. And one of the speakers that I had at my at my family press conference, she was speaking. She says, they're not even open today. When I looked over my shoulder, she was correct. I looked over my shoulder, the Buckeye Police Department was actually closed that day. And so that's when I realized this place actually closes on the weekend, on Saturday. Their main office is closed. You guys, they do have a substation, I guess they use. but they're closed on the weekend. I have never seen that. So, this time, you guys, when I do this protest in front of their doors on public property, I will be doing it on a weekday. So the way I'm planning to do it, you guys, is going to be a 3-day thing every week. It's be from Monday through, from Wednesday through Friday, and to make sure that we're there. You know what I'm saying? When I say there in ways, it's constantly being there. It's not a one-day thing. It's for anybody who can actually join in on your time off or a day off or something like that. Try to make sure to have some type of form of protest. So I would be trying to put those things together the way I want to do it, and we'll go from there. But at the same time, like I said, in the background, what you guys got here is the mail-in protest that helps me out on some things I'm doing in the background, some phone calls to letters that I'm doing as well for Daniel. What I'm looking for, you guys, is a change in jurisdiction because, the Buckeye Police Department has damaged Daniel's case tremendously. Like I said, not only the trauma to my family and myself, also the fact that, like I said, they haven't produced anything that would bring us closer to answers for Daniel. That's one thing. The other thing is, like I said, the damage is that everything I've seen so far from the Buckeye Police Department is designed just for the Buckeye Police Department, meaning that it's appearance to make them look good better than what they're actually doing. That is problematic. The fact that I'm still holding evidence, I'm holding evidence from day one, you guys. When that vehicle showed up, I was threatened by the Buckeye Police, another trauma, threatened by the Buckeye Police Department if I didn't remove that vehicle. And this is, guys, think about this. Vehicle showed up on July the 19th, and they didn't tell me until July the 20th. They waited over 24 hours just to even alert me. A father who was out in the desert crazy searching all day, and that son, they knew they was out there. They weren't helping me at all. Law enforcement did not put a dime into my searches, but out there constantly fighting for my son. They knew I was looking for Daniel. I wasn't sleeping, but they waited over 24 hours to even alert me, even purposely did it because they told the rancher not to tell me or the family or the news organization. They purposely withheld that information from me and told me over 24 hours later that the vehicle was found. And then when I asked them why, the excuse was because they didn't want to disturb my sleep. Like I was sleeping, you guys. So that was very disturbing. Well, I'm saying that damage to my son's case, damaging from that point, not even trying to do the right things for that, as well as the fact that, when I say damage the case, these guys had their theories. You join a monastery, become a monk. Their theories, that this vehicle, they were just walking around the devil. They damaged it because they felt that, according to the Buckeye Police Department detective, who I have on the recorded call as well, who told me the reasons why they didn't do any forensics on the scene. And his take was that because it didn't warrant one. He looked at the scene, you guys, again. You guys, I'm telling you guys, you look at the scene. His warrant was that based on what he saw at the scene, the vehicle turned on its side. The windshield smashed in, like somebody beat it. The damage on the vehicle that they probably recognized it didn't match the terrain. The sunroof was taken out, and clothing items. Everything from underwear to sock. He told me that underwear to sock was on the ground. That didn't warrant anything in his brain to try to investigate that. They took pictures of the scene. That's why you guys don't see any forensic markers on the ground. They took pictures of the scene and just took off, dragged everything out of there, and gave it to me for safekeeping. You guys, like I said, and then threatened me to have it removed. So again, you guys, that's what I'm saying. You guys, those are the things that caused me to say, hey, when I go back and look at everything in the story for Daniel for almost 2 years now, it warrants the request that my son case be moved. I asked them before in the past to another damage in the case. Asked them in the past to get the FBI to look in it based on the crime scene that we found. They the one, again, you guys told me those are human remains. We know if there's 3 femurs, for instance, that is 2 people, right? And that's how we kept count at the time, how many human remains we were finding out there based on what the Buckeye Police Department at the time was telling. They say they're the ones with the Maricopa County to confirm if those are human or animal remains. And we was up to near 7. And then now they're backtracking. Even had one of my guys backtracking on the amount. So one of the things I'm saying, you guys, that damage to Daniel's case, warrants all the way to this date, warrants that another agency need to be looking into my son's case. Again, they damaged it by the FBI request that my son letter I sent to Chief Hall that described that my son went missing in the crime scene. And this is the crime scene that my son went missing into, with the human remains, the human skull that's found near the crash site, for instance, and all of that stuff. That rewarded him because I CC'd a lot of people into this letter. He had no choice, but he said yes, he's going to call the FBI into it. Then when we supposed to have been into this meeting together, my attorney and myself, he ignored that request purposely. If he been answering back to everything else, but when that request came back, he had like he didn't see it or hear it or whatever case may be. He didn't respond, and he secretly had this meeting with the FBI behind my back, of course. And their explanation was that the FBI did come and review the case and say, you, Mr. Robinson, are doing such a great job on your own. I guess for my 48 weeks of searches, we don't have to come in. We don't have to come in. You're doing a good job on your own. That was very insulting to myself and my family. Another thing, damaging. They're forcing and fighting their way to keep another agency to come in to look into Dane's case. A fresh set of eyes that could produce some information or produce something warrant. You guys, I know I've been holding on forensics evidence for a long time, to the point I had to start off asking you guys to donate money to help me get the forensics done. Just getting some things one item at a time. I tried to go with the cell phone first and then tried to do some other things. But then I found out I was breaking the chain of custody even more so than what Buckeye have already done if I do certain things. So long story, you guys. That's been a lot of damage. I'm still holding on to forensic evidence. I did find a way to get law enforcement agency outside of Buckeye to do some forensics on electronics. You guys know about that as well. So I'm saying this case has been damage over damage over damage. And all along, when I'm talking to law enforcement agencies outside of Buckeye, one thing I learned about policing is like they have this code. I'll tell you guys that code blue is stronger than you are. That care for the blue is stronger than the citizens. We got to really realize that. I'm telling you guys, because those guys they'll squeeze and squirm and do everything they can to make sure they'll say things like, we don't want to step on another law enforcement's toes, whether they're wrong or not. They could be a bunch of criminals or something, but we don't want to step on their toes because I guess they police officers or something. But who police the police when they're wrong? You guys, say, so that's the thing. So again, you guys, I have to get Daniel's case outside of the Buckeye Police Department, and that's the change of jurisdiction that you guys see on what I need and what we want. When I say we, this is a grassroots movement. You guys have been with me from day one. You're my family, my extended family, and so this is what we need, and this is what we want, and this is what the protest, the mail-in protest, as well as the physical protest that's coming. For both of them. I got also got Maricopa County in my sights as well. It's almost coming up to election year as well. So there's a lot of things, we got to look at how to navigate the things that we need for Daniel in his case. Also, I got the criminal investigation, and I need a criminal investigation. This is the point that my investigator did. This money, guys, I will tell you the amount. This is money spent to give the law enforcement agencies who haven't found the construction cone and all the information they have right now. They didn't come out. Information y'all found them again, you guys. I'm gonna double down on it. That law enforcement put out. It comes from myself and my investigator. Nothing came out from them alone. They haven't found the construction cone. They'll throw things at you. Oh, we search or they're saying some little weird things like, yeah, we talking to somebody again or something. Like you're not really doing anything. Those are the words that make it look good on paper, you guys. But the reality is, there's nothing came out of law enforcement to date that would get us closer to answers to find out what happened to my son. But a lot of information came from myself and my investigator that bring us a lot closer to the answer. I have a lot of information that law enforcement I give to law enforcement. I gave them a lot of things that I can't give to you guys, and they don't act upon it. Looks like you guys knew about the well. They just act upon it this year. You know what I'm saying? After all the time of preaching about information that I have done myself, my own investigating. So definitely want to get Dane's case turned to a criminal investigation, you guys, based on everything we know about the scene. You go just look at the scene. First of all, does any person would warrant them against what Buckeye feel? The detective feel. He said all the reasons why he didn't want to look at it as a criminal investigation and do some forensics work at the scene. I would have said, as an investigator looking at the scene, this warrants me to look further to make sure that this is not a crime scene, right? So those are the things that's the difference between myself and law enforcement, Buckeye. So this case should have been a criminal case a long time ago, based on the vehicle showing up at the scene, based on the rancher saying it wasn't there 2 to 3 days before he found it, because he was there in that spot before, 2 days before, prior to that, as well as the scene itself. You guys look at that would warrant me to look into it. So what I'm saying is just looking at the details of the case, looking at the details of the Crest site, the information that we received, and the fact that even listening to the family, myself, say this is not Daniel, this is not what he would do, this is blah blah blah, and also based on, like I said, the story of the rancher, the store of they own self, they own search. I would go from the evidence from law enforcement. They claim they searched this area, and then when you approach them about it, what they say, you guys, like if I had an audience right now, you guys could say it for me. They, oh, it was so thick and lush, and I showed you guys that it wasn't thick and lush. This scene, this scene, you could see it from the air, and this is from a drone footage they had, right? The only footage they had this far from searches, but you could see the from drone footage, this vehicle. You would not miss a blue vehicle in the brown desert. So long story short, that's what I need, is the criminal investigation that this belongs to. It's been over almost 2 years since my son missing. That warrants also the investigation in the criminal act, is coupled with everything else that we gave to law enforcement. And also, I need the FBI involved. My son went missing again. The same goes back to the same letter that I wrote to Chief Hall requesting the FBI, is because, first of all, federal land for the vehicle, and as well as that my son went missing this crime scene. This big crime scene. I know this whole Arizona want this community really bad. That's bringing in millions and millions of dollars and more residency in Buckeye. That means everything to them. When it comes to money, you ought to know that means more than the Daniel Robinson case to many. So of course, they want this developed and roll over everything that's out there in that desert. Got the sad part about that, roll over it. They don't care. Just want to make this money. But we found human remains out there. It's a big crime scene. Big crime scene. The FBI should have been looking into, been praying and preaching about that as well. But my son went missing in this crime scene. So it goes back to that about having the FBI involvement. So we're going to get justice for Daniel, you guys, and I'm going to try to do everything I can and everything in my power to do so. And like I said, how you guys was able to help is to download that PDF, like I told you guys, on pleasehelpfinddaniel.com. That helped me tremendously, and I really appreciate those who did that and who sent me messages and let me know that they have done that. Vanessa here on the chats as well, who sent me direct messages, say, hey, look, I sent this off. Even she went to a point of putting that certified. So I really appreciate everybody who participated in this so far. And got those letters out. I really appreciate that, because y'all don't know, you guys don't know how much that helps in various ways. Saying don't know what's going on in the background and how that is really helping. Don't forget to sign those letters I put there, you guys. Again, I want to say this over again. I put that there for those who want response back. You want response back from your letters. Of course, you sign and get your return address. But the main thing about this whole mail-in protest is to try to get numbers. So if you can, let's use an example, you guys. If you can put out 1,000 letters, right, to this department, so you get 1,000 letters, for instance, and you might want to sign one of them that you want some return, but the rest of them is just numbers. Just need to show up in their box to kind of, say, hey, where all these letters come from, saying to get their attention. So that's what the mail-in protest is really about, is those numbers, the bulk of mails coming in at one time. But you guys, like I said, if you want that for your request to come back to you, you want that some response back to your letter, that's one. You take one out of those and make sure you sign that and get your information on there. So that's what I mean by that. Also, you guys, if you Also, another way you can do is just like I say, the date it was Monday through Thursday, you guys, and that was the window. So I was helping everybody say, look, don't send those letters out before and after this date. We'll try to get them all in at one time. So what I'm planning to do, you guys, going forward with the mail-in protest, I want to say as well, is that I'm getting ready to make sure that I keep this thing going on for at least about a month and a half, you guys. That's the goal, is to, and I'm going to explain that to you in a minute. I want some feedback as well. Like as the comment, I want you guys to be engaged on this as well. So in the chats, if you guys can, I need some feedback. When I say I need some feedback, I need feedback on how you guys think I should approach this. And what I'm doing is, well, let me go to it right now real quick, and then I'll come back to this. With this letter, this is the letter that's going directly to Chief Hall, you guys, and you probably seen that in the PDF. This is the PDF for you guys. What I did is, this is the letter I did send to Chief Hall, but of course, I changed the wording so it can fit you guys, right? And so what I want to do is send this letter every week. The windows, the mail-in window gonna be the same, you guys. If you guys can help me, we do this every week. The way I'm gonna try to do it every week, I'm gonna have to change the date at the top on the PDF and just keep doing it every week. So I'll be posting a letter like this every week, and we'll keep sending those letters in that window, Monday through Thursday. And this letter is to request that Dan's case be moved over to the Maricopa counties, and also the FBI. So I'll be recrafting this kind of letter and just sending out one every weekend for, it'll be on the website for you guys to download, but every weekend for the Monday through Thursday. We'll be doing this for a while to try to get bulk mail going to the Buckeye Police Department Chief Hall directly, as long as possible until I get what I want, right? In the meantime, like I said, I'm still going to be pushing for this mail-in protest. So what I want to ask from you guys is, should I be utilizing both letters like we've been doing on this first uh, mail-in protest, or should I just, like I said, just stick to this one letter and sending that out? So I just want your guys' opinion about that. Should I stick to the one letter, or do y'all have any other suggestions when it comes to this whole mail-in process? So I will be looking at chats for that. I'll be looking at chats in the moment for your questions and things like that. So tell me what you guys think. But going back to the screen here, again, the last part is, just send as many letters as you can. I'm encouraging you guys to get your churches and whoever, get them involved to send out these letters. Send out these letters in bulk. That's what I'm trying to do. Get a whole bunch of them out at one time. So you guys can do that. That'll help. That'll help a whole lot. So again, that's pretty much it, you guys. So I'm gonna go to the chats real quick, and I want to really hear some of your feedback about that and what you guys think. You guys have any questions about anything I talked about so far, the whole case? I'll be looking for those too. I have like another 30 minutes. I have some other engagements that I really have to go to today, and I won't be able to stay on the Q&A long. Already at the hour mark. It goes so fast for me. My goal was to only be on here for an hour this morning, because like I said, I have some engagement I have to take care of today. Very important. And just want to make sure I get off the Q&A a good time. But thank you, Teal Sky, for being here as well. I really appreciate that. Thank you, Clumsy, for being here as well. I appreciate you being here. Good morning to you as well. Also, Amy, Rebecca, thank you for being here this morning. Let me see who else I got. Blessings to all. Thank you so much for being here. Good morning. I emailed in letters for protest. I really appreciate that. Thanks so much. I prayed you get results. I really appreciate it. I sent off 5 to each department. That's what I'm talking about, you guys. Thank you so much for doing that. You guys can send out multiples. That's what I'm saying. The main goal is to try to get that bulk come in. So guys, I really appreciate that when you did that. Blessings to all. Also, Blue Gold, thank you so much for being here. Thanks for being here for Daniel. Also, Country Girl, thanks so much for being here. Already good morning to you. Also, thank you, Tia and Wildflower. Thanks so much for being here. God bless you as well. And Tia Wildflower, you just remind me of something, you guys. I want to say this real quick. And Tia Wildflower, she was one of the ambassadors, and I really appreciate Tia Wildflower for doing that. But you guys, I am going to I'm going to approach the ambassador program in a different way. It won't be an ambassador program. I went ahead, I'm scrapped that off of the website, you guys. Unfortunately, I was unable to get participation into the ambassador program, so I would not be doing that. I have a different plan for the foundation to help families. So I'm changing some things up. Wildflower, you know what those things is. I did describe that to you already in the emails, but I will be changing that up. So those who don't know, who may now think about becoming an ambassador, yeah, I have a different way of process that I'm going to assure that families be able to get these flyers out to communities and things like that. So Tea and Wildflower, you know what those are. We'll be talking. I'll be talking to you a little bit more about that later this week. But thank you guys for those who was even considering being an ambassador, and thank you again, like I said, Tia Wildflower, for becoming an ambassador for the Daniel. Please help find Daniel, and also the Daniel Rouse Foundation stuff. So thanks so much, you guys. Also, Clumsy, again, thanks so much for being here. I really appreciate that. And Clumsy, have a question here. Thanks for your question. They say, is there a place in future you want or may go searching, or places of interest to net search? I'm sure there is. I'm waiting on some things with investigation side of things, Clemson, as well as I do have, like I told you guys, I think more so people who actually been out in the desert with us, and you can understand the reason why. First of all, it took so long to kind of do the kind of search that we do. We're not doing law enforcement search. Law enforcement search is how I want to put it. It's not a detailed search. Obviously, like I said, they have not found anything. But we have, and the volunteers were very detailed. We have a passion to actually find Daniel, and so we find things, right? And it takes time. It takes time the way we're doing it, because we don't have the equipment to move around. So, and we don't have the expertise. I'm not an expert, you guys. I've been blessed by God and people like yourself to get a search going for over 40 some weeks. But there's some areas that still could be looked into in that area that bothers my mind. So that even the last search I had, we didn't get to complete some parts of that, and so it still bothers my mind. So as a father, like, hey, look, what if we would have got that spot, that little area, and God forbid Daniel is not with us anymore, but if he's out there, we need to bring him home. So as a father, that's what I have to do. So yeah, it's always a question in my mind with that, doing searches again based on that. But more so is also I want to rule out the desert. That's what I'm saying. So, but the thing is, more so that it'd be more investigative, like information I do have. I do have some areas that I did before, what I called a specialized search in the past. You guys probably remember that. I do have some areas that definitely outside of that spot, the guys that we normally go to, that should have been searched. So yeah, it's a possibility, Clumsy, for that question. It is a possibility for a future search. But you guys know this is recovery searches at this point. But thanks so much, Tracy. Thanks so much for being here as well. Thank you, Aussie, for being here. Thank you, Esther, for being here. I really appreciate it. Anybody have any questions? I'm going to kind of skip down, you guys, for time's sake. Thank you, Shauna, for being here as well. And let's see who else. Well, thank you, Shauna, for being here, as well as being a moderator as well in the chats. All right, and also say the mail protest is underway. Find letters at pleasehelpfinddaniel.com, and that's true. You guys can go to pleasehelpfinddaniel.com and download those PDFs. Download those PDFs to help me get those out to the public, not to the public, but to those organizations, those departments. Also, Country Girl, thank you so much for your question. Can you tell us what was in the box that Daniel had in his Jeep? I cannot, because when I say I cannot, if I did know, I probably wouldn't be able to talk about it, because that's some things. A lot of things in that vehicle is still in investigation. That's why I'm saying, you guys, Mr. McGrath, he don't work for me anymore. I'm praying that because I know it's inventory wise, I know it's in the vehicle based on the pictures and things I have inventory, as well as he told me that was there, as well as me physically seeing it from when Buckeye Department Detective Biffin opened that back door, and I seen some things as well. So I know it was in that vehicle, and what should be in that vehicle to date, and what still need to be in that vehicle. And I'm praying that he did not give anything outside that vehicle, I'll direct him not to. That would be a problem for him and for myself. But I do know that box is there. I know what's supposed to be in the box based on what Mr. McGrath told me, but I have not physically, like I said, you guys, when it comes to this vehicle, the chain of custody for the vehicle has been damaged severely by the Buckeye Police Department, because it's physical evidence. Is also, like I said, there's DNA type things going on with that vehicle. And I stay away from the vehicle. I house the vehicle. I'm paying for it, you guys. I'm saying that's another thing. That's a very costly thing for me. To house this vehicle, it costs me a lot of money to keep doing this. And law enforcement should be holding us with the resources they have. And they're reluctant to do so because they're trying to protect each other, this blue thing. But like I said, you guys, um, you know, um, I know what's in that vehicle and what should be there, but I can't tell you what's in the box. I do know what's in the box, but I won't be able to tell you what's in it. Was the box? Was that the one that Buckeye Police Department put on top of the Jeep? Yes, that's the same box. Yeah, have you seen that picture? Yeah, that's the one they removed out of the vehicle, set it on top for whatever reason. I don't know, to take pictures. It's a lot to that whole thing with Buckeye Police Department, especially with that hat. You guys, I told you about that, because that y'all remember the hard hat with the water in it, and with the business card sitting in there. And I'm going to do that. Matter of fact, I may do that tonight, you guys. I may not have a hard hat to put a business card in, but what I can do is get a clear glass of water and sit one of these business cards I have around here in that water. And while we're doing a Q&A, and at the end of the Q&A, I'm gonna show you you guys what that business card looked like sitting in water for an hour. Or I could be long-winded, so I'll say 2 hours of Q&A tonight, and see what the state of that card is. And that kind of could tell you guys what the BS that I see when they say, hey, just to prove the vehicle's here for 30 days. They wanted to be there for 30 days for whatever reason. Because it was a hard hat filled with rainwater, but there's a card in it that's not dissolved, had dissolved for 30 days. So no business card would not sit in a hat for 30 days, and the water didn't change color from the ink, or the ink would have smeared and it would turn to pulp and all that. I'm an intelligent person. I don't look at things for what somebody tell me. I look at things for what it is. And so that's not investigative work. That's BS for me, as a father who's a very intelligent person. Was that one the Buckeye Police Department put in the top? Yes, that is the vehicle. That's the box. So thank you guys. Again, I wanted to get to these questions. So if I kind of skip down, I'm looking at the time, how long I've been on, and as well as the time I have to get ready for this engagement. I'm trying to skip down, and those, if I miss your question somehow, I apologize up front. If I miss your comment, I apologize up front. I do see you as I'm strolling down. So thanks so much for your comments. Like T-Well Flower, thanks so much for putting that up, as well as Salvage. I see your comments. I want to say something about the comments, but I want to try to get to these questions really quickly, and also to hear your comments about, like I said, your suggestions on this letter. All right, before I get off, has Buckeye Police Department or any other law enforcement agency said what to them constitutes evidence of foul play? No, they haven't. They just dodge around the questions. Even Chief Hall on CNN dodged around the question. Sarah Seidner from CNN asked him on the interview. You guys see the video. The family feel like this is criminal. This is based on what we see as a family. And he's talking about he can't make up evidence, right? And this is before we gave him this information that we found. Oh, we can't make up evidence, but we gave them evidence. No, we gave them evidence, and then what they did behind once they got the evidence of it, they would go hire their own investigator to try to rebut it. So because they don't want evidence. That's the point. That's the way I take it. So, but they never did. Chief Hall and the rest of them never give an explanation to what to constitute to them. Is because I say, my attorney was talking to Buckeye and asking them the same question. Like, look, okay, y'all say y'all don't see no evidence of foul play, but y'all also don't see it evidence of not foul play either at the same time. So it's like they try to play both sides of the fence without playing both sides of the fence, but they want to stick to just a missing persons case, and they go all out to make sure that to them. For whatever reason, I'll tell you guys, the way I always keep looking at it all the time, I look at it and I put my timeline together as I'm doing the timeline, as I'm remembering things more, because I told you guys one thing about me is that I was able to take notes, and you guys seen the picture when I was talking to Ken, writing things down. So I'm not going to forget or something. But and the story is not changing because it's evidence and facts. You know, when you write things down ahead of time, and you got those things, and you record things. I record everything. Just like the Buckeye Police Department Detective Hanneman, I think his name was, he had us in the interrogation room, and I mean my daughter, and I was happening to be talking generally, like, "Hey, I record everything." He said everything. I said, "Yeah, I'm recording now." And his face turned red. And he got out and went out the room for a second, came back. Yeah, I record everything. You know what I'm saying? So you're not gonna come with some thing over my head later on and say, "Well, we didn't say this." "Oh, you said this," you know, because I'm gonna throw it in their face, right? And I could do this in the public, guys. I'll be saying this all the time to my team. I could like do certain things in the public, but I just don't, because I'm waiting. I just let law enforcement hang them up their own self, basically, right? With lies. So the thing is, you guys, that's another thing as well. But yes, I don't know what Shauna, what they constitute is foul play, but they making sure from the Buckeyes standpoint, making sure it's not a foul play scenario for them, you know, though it is. All right. So thanks, Survivor, for being here. I really appreciate that for being here. Also, let's see who else I got. But you guys have any questions? I think I see something here. Okay, thanks, Sean, for putting this up for everybody. If you have a question, you guys, because I don't want to miss it. For those who haven't been on Q&A before, when you ask the questions, please put the capital letter Q there, or the word question, question, or a capital letter Q, word question, or question mark before your question. That's why I'm coming down. I can see your question. I can find them. So that'll help me as I'm coming down really quickly. Will you request a meeting with Maricopa County after mail-in protest? Yeah, I stay in contact with the Maricopa County Sheriff. Matter of fact, they have a liaison who I text on, was texting on a regular basis and things like that. So I do have constant contact with the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office. And yes, I will be doing that to T and Wildflower, having more dialogue with them, because, you know, they already know what my request is. Like I said, they dance around of the Maricopa Sheriff's Zone, which has jurisdiction. They dance around their jurisdiction, dance around, not like he said, the only way I can take Sheriff's Zone, he directly told me this personally, that you know, he don't want to appear as a bitch sheriff coming in town taking over the case, which he can't. That's it, that he got the jurisdiction of power to do that. And you know, so you know, you know, there's a whole bunch of dancing around, and they rather that, I guess, the way I take it, Buckeye just go ahead and send the case over. That's the way they can do it without looking like, you know, oh, he just taking over or something. But the whole point that I'm saying is always dancing around each other, because they dancing around the blue thing, and it ain't about Daniel. It's about this blue thing for them, you know. So law enforcement is about the agency looking good, or whatever the case may be, than the actual person that they're supposed to be looking for. So that's the way it is with law enforcement. Also, here you go, Country Girl, for a question. When you received Daniel's keys, do you know if there was a key for a padlock? I believe I saw a lock on the first well. Those locks on those wells are there. I don't know why they have it on there, because they don't lock the well. I guess it's supposed to be designed. It's supposed to be cranked, and what it is a little thing that goes down in there on top of the cap. The cap is flat, got a little part that comes down, and they crank it. They turn it and crank it, and when they crank it, they're supposed to span and then lock itself. No, hold that cap down in that well, right? And then they put the lock on there. But some reason somebody put a lock on there, but you just pull the cap up. In other words, the cap is not tied down. So it is that lock. They probably lost the key to that lock or something, but that's definitely not locked. Those wells are not locked. That's how we was able to get into them and things like that. Just have a lock on it. But the with the question, first part of that question is you know, when we see the keys, yeah, that's one thing I can say about that is those wells are not locked. It's probably appear that way. Shauna, thanks so much for the question. If you are able to say, have in any other family that have had a missing person in Buckeye ever reached out to you in dealing with the Buckeye law enforcement? I have had I'm trying to make sure I'm correct. I have people come out to the searches in the past who expressed they had missing loved ones, but they lived in Buckeye. So I don't know if that person went missing in Buckeye or not. Um, but as in directly, no, I can't remember and I recall right now anybody who had a missing loved one missing in Buckeye. Now I do know the little boy Jesse who went missing, and they ended up finding that little kid in a center, what's called the things, the median in the center, which should have been found a long time ago. But you guys know the story. There was a sad story about a little kid, but that's the only ones I really know about. But yeah, I would love the families to reach out. I've been trying my best, you guys, for a while now, continually doing so, is get these families back on the Q&A. I think about revisiting some of the ones that have been on Q&A in the past, bringing their story back on this Q&A. But no, I haven't. I can't remember, Shauna. If I could remind it, I can't remember anybody from Buckeye. All right, let's see. Any more questions? Justice for Daniel. Thanks, Survivor, for putting that up. Justice for Daniel. Thank you guys for doing this. I really appreciate it. Justice for Daniel. And let's see. I really appreciate that, Shauna. Yeah, so you guys, thanks, Shauna, for putting that up. You guys, if you guys want to help us well, outside of just the letters, you go to pleasehelpfinddaniel.com as well, change.org. What Shauna have here in the chats, for those who are not on YouTube, you can go to pleasehelpfinddaniel.com and hit that petition button and put your voice to that petition. You still can do that. You have multiple emails, you can do it multiple times. Sometimes you guys, for some people, change.org will ask you to verify your email address, so please do that as well. So your petition counts. In other words, your numbers count, so it'll show up. Because I will be utilizing that. I'm still trying to find more ways to utilize the petition you guys back in everything I'm doing up. So thank you for your question, Survivor. Is there any reason why Arizona State Police haven't stepped in? And I'm real. If you're talking about DPS, Department of Safety, I do have one of my team members, Larnell. He's also spoke to DPS, as well as I talked to I think his position is like a colonel now, or something. I forget what the position title, but he used to be the chief of police for Tempe, and so we had many conversations with him. I had a meeting with him as well before he went into that position with DPS. So he already know that we're still knocking on his door. But yeah, we still having some dialogue there too as well. Oh, speaking of a person, Larnell, thanks so much. I really appreciate you being here this morning as well. So yes, they haven't stepped in yet. Survivor, State Police haven't stepped in yet, but we're reaching out to them. All right, let's see. Any more questions here? Thank you, Truth Teller, for being here. I see some new names, so thank you so much, you guys. Those who are new and may have some questions about Daniel case, thanks for support. And please, you guys, I'm about to get off pretty soon. And those who are new, please come tonight. I have more time and I can talk more, and we can have more questions and things like that. I can answer. Please come on the Q&A prime time that I will be having later on. You guys know that's 6 o'clock. If you're on, I think sorry, 5 o'clock. If you're on the West Coast, and I believe 8 o'clock on the East Coast. I had to look at the time. My mind's on so much right now today. I'll make sure I get time, but definitely come to the evening Q&A, you guys. I'll have it posted on the social media platforms of the time and things like that. So you guys come on and hear some of the things we talk about, the timeline, as well as what I'm doing this morning. Right. I want to hear your questions and things like that. So thank you guys for being here. Thank you, Sue, for being here as well. I think sending all the letters every week would be great. Thanks. So, and that's what I need. Thank you for that feedback. They be mailed certified. Yes, you can do that as well. Is that better? They mail certified. Yes. And that's basically even good. I wouldn't imagine that if a person, for instance, want to send 20 of them, and they get them all certified. No, I'm not asking you guys because that gonna cost you some money. If you guys want to certify, like Anissa did as well, I really appreciate you guys for doing that. That's not a requirement, but I really appreciate you guys who do that, those certified. But I wouldn't imagine that you're doing certified for each letter and you sending like a whole bunch of them. The name of the game again for me is just having the numbers. That's one of the biggest parts, having those numbers sent to these to Chief Hall, for instance, next week. He keep constantly getting these letters. Just constantly, guys, I'm going to be changing letters up, PDFs, whatever, but constantly get them. All you guys have to do every week between Monday and Thursday is just download it, throw it in the envelope, and put a stamp on it, throw in the envelope, and send it off to the address that's on the letter. So that's what I'm planning to do, you guys, and I'm going to continue to do this for a while. I don't care if it's 2 months, whatever, or however little time we need, you guys, for them to act upon the things that I'm doing in the background, demanding my son's case to be removed. So doing that's coming with the physical protest behind it. So as long as us just backing up this letters. So don't think it's just a mail-in protest and that's just it, but it's more things coming with that. Sue, thanks so much for the question too. Is it better that the letters be certified or regular email? Thanks so much for that question. And that's what I'm saying again, you guys. I'll leave that to your discretion on the certification. But I wouldn't think that you guys would be sending a bunch of letters certified. So I mean, if you want to do that, I wouldn't stop that either. It's just that I'm saying I know that'd be costly. But I really appreciate you guys getting the letters out. Is what mainly what I would like to see. So I really thank you guys for just even participating in that and helping with this what I'm trying to do here. So all right, and I saw someone here, and thank you so much, Selvage. I'll do what I can and share this for you, and I really appreciate that. That's the name of the game for everything I do. This grassroots movement. And the name of the thing is to share Danny's story, share what I'm doing here. I'm trying my best, you guys. I'm a father. I had to be creative to try to get action in my son's case. My son's case is far from being a cold case. So I would not allow Buckeye or any law enforcement agency at this point to call my son's case a cold case when I had gave them physical evidence, when this should have been a crime scene that should have been forensic done at the scene, until everything in that vehicle, the airbags and all those other things that need to be forensically tested. The clothing itself on that ground you guys see behind me, what me and my family don't recognize, is actually Daniel's clothing and things like that. Until all this stuff get done, this is not a cold case. There's too much information there for law enforcement when they want to do their job to work with and to find answers to what most likely happened to Daniel, right? Where he's located and things like that. So all those little, and I can feel the ego of law enforcement when they got a father. They may feel like telling them what they should be doing, and they want to kind of fight against that or something. They shouldn't. You should be working with the citizens. If there's somebody can come up with something better than you and find out information, you should be able to utilize that information. If you really is genuinely in your heart wanting to find a person, just because that person found this evidence and you didn't, you just need to use it, right? If it's the other way around, the law enforcement found some information, you damn right, I'm going to be happy about that. You found information that brought us closer to find out what happened to my son. But you tell me you don't find it nothing. You don't even not find a construction cone. You guys say you got cadaver dogs all over the place. Your dogs certified, trained. But when I get my certified dogs, they pinging on the location. You guys seen on the queue, and I'm sharing that tonight too. The cadaver dog report that I have in my searches, right? And my dogs, when I say it that way, for my searches, it ping on the location, alert on the location 2 separate times, and their dogs passed the ever and didn't even find the human skull that was out there. That's a problem for me. That made me think it didn't really happen. Just like the rancher said, it backs up his story. Well, they only had one dog, that type deal. But they'll put it in public. They have all these cadaver dogs, and they'll have no proof or anything to this date or anything, those things they claim they did. So we go deep dive into that again because it make me angry, guys. we could deep dive into the searches that law enforcement did to date, you guys, and what that really means. And we can look at the numbers and the way they did these searches, and how if it's more so a PR thing versus actual searching, that type deal. So we'll deep dive into that, and I'm sure you guys some things that make you puzzle. For instance, the team and I have some information on a last search that the Maricopa County did, for instance, and that poses a bunch of questions. And God have a way of doing things to make things you can ask questions about. So I'll talk to my team to see if that's something we make public talk about. But for now, yeah, we do have a lot of things that will make you question a lot of things that law enforcement do. Also, we got Barry. Thank you so much for being here and being the president, the vice president. I'm about to get your promotion. Vice president of the Dave Robinson Foundation. Good morning to all. Thanks so much. Clearly, none of these law enforcement agencies care about Daniel Robinson. They used a lot of words of sympathy, but don't act in action. And that's what I'm saying, you guys. It's a lot of, excuse me. I thought I sneezed, but it was a lot of it is a lot of work. Like I said, to me, it always comes off at the end of the day, like as in law enforcement, just it's the blue thing. I don't think I can see the step in the way. It's the blue thing to make each other look good and make sure they're okay publicly for you guys' sake. But when it comes to it's really, I'll put it together, you guys, and we'll talk about it. We'll deep dive. So I know what you mean by that, Barry. Yeah, it's a lot. And thank you so much, Shauna, for being here as well. Savage Live Media. Can you send an email? Oh, that's something you got for them. But thank you so much, you guys. I really appreciate it. I don't see any more questions. I do see some comments. Thank you guys for being here. I do have to get off now. Thank you so much for coming in this Q&A. I will have more things to talk about and more things I'll be doing this evening. So you guys come back for that this evening. I will put that up the time, but I need to get out of here and get going. So take care of yourself. Be blessed. And I will see you guys on the next Q&A prime time. Again, I'm Dave Robinson, the father of geologist Daniel Cornelius Robinson. And thank you so much again. Like I said, thanks so much for being a family. Thanks so much for being part of this team, this movement, to help other families as well. You guys will be helping with that as well, I'm sure. So thank you so much. I really appreciate everything you guys have done. God bless you, and I'll see you then.